say a prayer, wherever he is. Thanks, Brent.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this day that we have to go to school and to further our education. And Father, we pray that thou bless our minds and our hearts, that they may be open and that we may be able to learn and grow in a way that will help us achieve our goals and to further the kingdom. We're so grateful for all the many blessings which thou hast put in our lives. We pray that we may be a blessing to others. We pray these things now in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, let's get started. All right, so for announcements today, first off, I wanted to say anyone that's going to the CUB luncheon, we're going to be leaving at like 11:30 behind the Clyde. So if you're going to that, make sure you're not sitting in the middle seat or somewhere where you can move. Okay? Good. All right. For senior leadership points, there will be abundant, but you probably should read this. So you should plan, organize, write a summary. So just like, it's really easy. It's like three bullet points. You need to take account of the number of students in attendance, take pictures, and end the activity. So yeah, I'll let you guys read the rest. So, and you can contact your networking officer if you have an idea or something like that. Or there'll be plenty of activities that you can see you. All right. The Erie Club, would someone else like to talk about that?
Yeah, we're meeting tonight at 6 p.m. like it says on the slide here at 234 of the slide. It's a really awesome club. We're working on a design for building and giving a prototype made out of balsa wood. We're approved for a competition that will take place in June in Los Angeles. So we do have funding. We have a lot of local companies that are helping out and giving a lot of their efforts to help us out. It's a really cool club. If anyone wants to come join, please help us out.
You can also get service and activities through it. And it's free.
They'll only want your soul afterwards. All right. The IT Professional Forum. Does anyone want to represent this? IT? No? Okay. I'll let you guys read that. In case anyone has a little bit more time. All right, so our opening social will be Winter Olympics theme. It's January 24th, 5 to 6 p.m. or a.m. Who knows? It's in the Step Down Lounge and it's the winter. Yeah. So come and have fun. All right. Service math counts February 3rd. We'll need about 30 people for this one. It's in Dixon Middle School. That's another one. Mentors Tuesday and Thursday, 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. Orchard Elementary Science Fair, judges, and the Discovery STEM Fair.
All right, so real quick on that Discovery STEM Fair, let me go to it. So it's right here. I actually have to turn in who's going to that tomorrow to BYU. So we need people to sign up. It's about 3 hours, so we want 3 people per hour. So you'll only be there for an hour. But in order to participate, you have to complete this child protection training. It kind of gives you how to get there. It's on Y-Train. It takes about 20 minutes. I did it 2 nights ago. It was kind of weird, but pretty much teaches you not to abuse children. We already know that. But there'll be 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will be coming. We'll be talking about how fun civil engineering is. So, yeah.
Okay. RMC.
Okay. So, with RMC, we just yesterday got the specs for the pre-design. So that's basically what it's going to look like. It's going to be kind of a raised table. You have to design a piping system to get a particular amount of water into different sections. Some don't need any. I can give you more details on that. But if you want to be able to work on a project and take that and compete at Rocky Mountain Conference, it's an awesome way to do it, especially a lot of people who want to go for concrete canoes who aren't actually paddling. This is a great way that you can actually be more involved with the conference. There's going to be a surveying competition, so all you people who like surveying, feel free to join that. And then a mystery design, and that one you just find out when you get there. You just need a couple of people for that. Also with Rocky Mountain Conference, today is the last day for on-time registration. So get on the list, put your name on there, pay your registration if it applies to you. People who have done stadium cleanups but don't pay their registration today are going to end up paying the full late price. So instead of $70, it's $100. Okay? So get it done today. And then the risk and release form has to be printed out and an original copy has to be given to Joe. So do all that today. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
As long as you sign that on Google Doc and you've done the
Yes. So if you've done the stadium cleanups, then you don't have to pay to take care of that.
Alright, so this is why I actually wanted to come up here. So the networking dinner, it's going to be February the 7th, right before the STEM fair. I need to know if you want to come by January 27th, because we have to arrange food and seats and things like that, so that's a hard deadline. So if you want to come, go to the blog, sign up saying that you're interested in coming. The cost, we're going to do $6. Basically, it's going to be appetizers and desserts. We're not going to do a full meal because we want people to be able to talk a little bit more. So that was kind of the idea behind that. So yeah. All right. Then the STEM fair, that's coming up. That's going to be February 8th. So get ready, and that's kind of the theme of the meeting today. There's something about the SCAU.
I was told just to put this up, so if anybody knows more about this, we can talk about it. I guess it's the Structural Engineers Association of Utah, young member group. It's January 24th, 2018, of course. It's going to be here in the Clyde Building in room 369. At 6 will be food and social, 6:30 there'll be a webinar. So yeah, if there's anybody who knows more about that. No.
Okay, so our speaker will be Monty Marshall and Tony, I don't want to butcher this, Chukis? Chukes, there we go, sorry. So Monty Marshall, he is our networking advisor, I would assume. But he's helped me a lot. I've gone to him 2 or 3 times and got help from him. And he does a lot of good service for us. If you guys would like to read about that, we have this page. Okay. But yeah. Yeah, so, I guess it looks like he's done a lot of running. He's an avid runner, likes sports. He helps with networking here at BYU. He helps set up the STEM fair, right? And puts in a lot of effort to that, and that helps out all of our campuses and our colleges. So, yeah. And Tony Jukes, right? He currently works as a career director for the College of Engineering and Technology, Civil, Environmental, Electrical, and Computer, and School of Technology. Additionally, he spent 5 years as the Director of Employer Engagement, BYU Career Services, 3 years Business Development Marketing, Regional Law Firm, 8 years Director of Marketing and General Manager, BYU Athletics, ISP Sports. Tony has degrees from both Utah State University and Southern Utah University. So thank you guys for coming out.
Great. Thank you, Levi. We're just thrilled to be here. I'll plug my computer in. I've got a couple of things I'm going to pull up. Oh yeah, while I'm plugging in, we have started to be super data driven, and we're trying to see if anything that we do makes a difference. And so we've got some iPads here for you to swipe your ID card or type your student number in, and we're going to keep track of everybody that we ever present to, and then your career outcomes, and see if we can match up anything. So if you'll swipe in, we'll have them go up and down, just up each section. We've got 4 of them, and then the people in the very back, if you can just get those back to these 2 guys, that would be great.
We'll also send you a Christmas card. We are getting quite famous for our video Christmas cards.
We won't spam, I promise. Although, we will send great opportunities to you on occasion, but not because of this. We won't use this list. Okay, so we're very interested in helping you to be successful in your careers, and there is probably no better place to be on campus than in civil engineering. This is an awesome place. We've been, the past year and a half, so the departments all do their own graduate surveys, but it's not standardized, so we decided to just survey everybody across campus, our graduates, and see how they're doing, see if there's an area where they need help. And what we discovered from civil engineering is that this is a really great place. Up until just recently, I was the sole liaison to the whole College of Engineering and Technology from University Career Services. A huge responsibility. Tony has been our external relations director, and so he's been employer relations for the whole university. So for the past 5 years, he's been out meeting with employers, trying to bring the best opportunities to students. We put together kind of a proposal to get Tony to come over here and split this job with me. And so now we've got double the resources, and we've got all of his experience and expertise from having visited employers, and we're going to divide the college. And he's actually going to be the primary, although we'll share responsibilities, he'll be the primary contact for civil engineering. So if you ever want to come to career services and meet with somebody to ask career questions, then they'll probably put you on his calendar.
And Monty and I are both, our offices are in the Clyde building. We'll be moving over to the new building instead of.
Yeah, we're in the Clyde Center, 242 Clyde. I want to back up, and I want to get to know you and then introduce myself just a little bit more and give you a little bit of history. But first of all, I want to know who I'm talking to. How many of you are going to graduate at the end of this semester? Oh, yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Someday you'll be there.
How many of you are going to graduate within the next year and a half? Oh, a lot. That's good. How many of you have longer than a year and a half to go? How many of you are in your first year at BYU right now? First year. Okay. Good. Really good mix. Before I came to BYU, so I've been here for 10 years now, but before I came to BYU, I was a high school counselor. I did that for 10 years. It took me 10 years to get out of high school and make it to college. Some of you did better than me. But I'm here, and when I was in high school, I would do presentations to juniors and seniors, and I would show them slides like this one up here. So look at this slide, kind of figure out what it's telling you. And I want to know by raise of hands, how many of you believe these numbers up here? How many of you believe that the more education you get, the better your earning potential is? Good. Because these are real numbers. This is real data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor. So why did we show this to juniors and seniors? How many of you remember seeing something like this when you were in high school? Yeah, you all got a similar presentation. Why did we show this to you? Raise your hand and tell me why.
To encourage you to keep learning.
Yeah, obviously, to tell them, don't stop at high school. It's only a foundation. Obviously, you need to go further and you'll have great opportunities. So how many of you are in college for this reason? Is this one of the reasons why you're in college? How many of you? Yeah, that's the number one reason when college students are surveyed for going to college. Well, I got to BYU and I'm working in career services, and I find out that the majority of people, the vast majority of people that are coming to meet with me are what kind of student? What are some characteristics of the student that comes in to career services most frequently? Proactive students. That's not the majority. We wish we had more of those. We've got a few of those. I've met with some of you here that are proactive. Students who don't know what they're doing, we get a lot of those. It seems like a lot of those go to the academic advisors and to University Advisement Center, but we get a lot of those as well.
Maybe students who are about to graduate but have no plan for after they graduate.
Okay, that's the majority. Students who are about to graduate and don't have a plan, or students that just graduated and don't have a job. That's the majority that we get. Right before the graduation or right after graduation, I need help. So, I had a civil engineering student come to me about a year ago, and here's kind of the short version of her story. She decided she was going to, she came because of this, and she felt like civil engineering is highly employable, I'm going to get a good job, and she put most of her time and energy into just studying hard, getting a good GPA, and she didn't do an internship. She did do some little things, and she had a decent resume, but not a real strong resume, but she felt like that was going to be okay because she knew there were a lot of jobs out there for civil engineering students, graduates. And then her parents went on a mission her senior year, and she decided she wanted to go visit them after she graduated, and so she decided she'd take just a little bit of time to catch her breath after graduation, and she would look for a job later. So she spent some time just traveling, visiting parents, and being with family, and then she came back to me and asked for some career help. So, common scenario in my office. We get a lot of these kinds of situations. Well, a year later, she's still looking for work, and she graduated in civil engineering. Now, she does have kind of a niche area that she's really trying to gear in, so she's not just wanting to take any civil engineering position. She's got a little more competitive area that she's targeting, and she really liked her class on composite materials and really wants to do something with that. So it's a little bit different, but she's been really surprised at how hard it's been for her to find a job. She put all of her stock in this. She thought, if all I do is get this degree, I'm going to get a good job and it's going to pay well. And now right now she's working retail, and she's been out of college for 18 months, almost 2 years, and she's working retail, still looking for that good opportunity. So I'm sharing this with you to let you know that I didn't tell my high school juniors and seniors the full story, because I didn't know the full story until I got to BYU. And that is that these numbers are true, but you still have to really work to find that great position, that ideal position for you. It's going to take some work. So I'm really glad that I was invited here, because I've learned a lot of things, and hopefully a few of these tips will be helpful to you. So the number one thing that you can do to be successful in your career and land that ideal job is what? What's the number one thing? Somebody? Internship. Yep, experience. Yep, that's the number one thing. When we ask employers what the number one piece of advice would be to a student that wants to work for them, most often the answer is do an internship with us. And if you don't get an internship with us, get some relevant experience, do an internship with one of our competitors or something related to us. So just to emphasize my point, I did a quick search through some news headlines, and these are some headlines that came up. Half of college grads can't find full-time jobs, CBS News. I studied engineering, not English. I still can't find a job, Washington Post. 60% of college grads can't find work in their field. So civil engineering is much better than average, I'll tell you that, especially civil engineering at BYU. But still, I'm trying to make a point. I do want to show you some results from our survey of civil engineering students, just so you can see our recent graduates the last 2 years. So from the last couple of years, at the time of graduation when we surveyed them, we got 65% response from our civil engineering students. Some of the other majors thought the response was higher, so respond when we send that out to you. But that was still a good sample, and this is where they were. So I thought this might be insightful to you. 9.5% were still seeking employment at the time of graduation. 41.3% had received a job offer, and so they were employed full-time. So a lot went right into industry. And then 36.5% were going to grad school, and another 6.3% were planning on grad school. So that's just, I thought that might be interesting just to kind of see what we found. And then I thought maybe I'd show you some salary data as well. Would you like to see how much our graduates reported earning? So I put the mean and I put the median and the mean, so the average and the median as well, because of this entry-level data. The data is a little bit skewed if we don't show you both of those numbers. So here's the spread, and you can see that's pretty good. That's pretty good. The average BYU graduate is in the upper 40s across campus, so our civil engineering graduates are significantly higher than average when we look at all majors. The median is 52,000, and the mean is 55. Again, this is 65% response rate to our survey.
And this is just into bachelor's.
Entry level, just those. So when you go back to this slide, that's the 41.3% that said that they had accepted a full-time position of employment. So among those 41.3, this is what they reported, their earnings. Your department has more detailed information than us, but we just asked like 5 questions, just the basic 5. We didn't ask a lot of detail. Okay, so we want you to be successful. It's not all about salary. I'm only showing this to you because I thought these are questions that we get. You know, do most students go to grad school? Do most students go into employment? And what's the average salary? What can I be expecting? Those are the questions that you have. Now I want to talk to you about some resources that will be helpful in addition to the STEM Fair. Y'all know that the STEM Fair is coming up on February 8th, and that week prior to February 8th, we're going to have workshops that you can take advantage of to prepare yourself for this heavy recruiting time. This is the low-hanging fruit. It's only one resource, though. The majority of you are going to get your opportunities outside of the career fair. So I'm going to talk to you about some other resources. So I focus on the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your effort is what we found. And so I like to be hyper-focused on the 20% that is most effective. So I'm not going to talk about everything that's out there. I'm going to talk about my very favorite resources that produce the greatest results. So here's 4 resources to make sure that you're familiar with. Careers.byu.edu. Under the Events tab, I'm going to go there real quick.
This is a brand new site that we just launched, and a lot more information readily available, and there is just a ton of information.
Under Events, you can click on Student Calendar, and you'll see everything that's coming up. Now, we have a general career fair next Thursday, a week from today, a general career fair for all majors. And so some of these career fair prep workshops might be of interest to you, even though they're more general and not so much engineering. And so you might be interested in some of these things that are on the calendar. So just be familiar with our website. I'm not going to go into great detail, but I did want to point out the events in the student calendar just to know what's happening on campus. If you have questions about interviewing, the job and internship search, networking, resumes, cover letters, we have great resources here as well for you to look at, and we're not going to take time to go into that. The next resource that I wanted to talk to you about is LinkedIn. How many of you have a LinkedIn account? How many of you use LinkedIn regularly? 2, 3, 4. Not very many. That's really common. Actually, that's better than a lot of audiences that I present to. Most students say, I know what LinkedIn is, I get invitations all the time, but I don't know, I don't do much with it. How many of you feel kind of like that? A lot of you. So I'm going to show you just my favorite thing with LinkedIn. The number one career strategy, the number one strategy for getting an internship or a full-time job is not just applying and hoping to hear back and get an interview. The number one strategy is, what would you think? Networking. That's the number one strategy. When you're applying for an internship, you are almost always competing against somebody that has a connection with that company. And if you don't have an uncle at that company, then you're at a little bit of a disadvantage. We do have a great network through BYU if you don't have a family member, and so you can tap into that network. So if you go to LinkedIn.com and search for BYU and pull up BYU's page and click on Search Alumni, you can find, you'll see that we have 192,000 alumni that have LinkedIn profiles and they're searchable. And so you can search by keyword, you can search by where they work, you can search by major. So let's just type in civil engineer. And who do you think the top employers are of our civil engineering graduates? Let's just look here. I'm going to come over here and click on civil engineering and just see who the top employers are of our civil engineering. So we got a lot of students that are working at BYU, but then Horrocks Engineers, UDOT, Kimley Horn, and so on. And then, if you're interested in networking with some of these alumni at these companies, what we found as BYU alumni in our engineering majors would love to hire another BYU intern to come work for them. And they give great information. They're great to talk to. So if you see Kimley Horn on here, and you want to talk to somebody at Kimley Horn, we got 20 people that have LinkedIn profiles, and there they are right there. Some of these might be people that you are familiar with. And you can look through their job titles, and figure out who maybe the best person is to reach out to. So, any questions about LinkedIn? That's just one thing that I like to do on LinkedIn is just network with BYU alumni.
Is that feature available free?
Yes, it is. Yep. It's free, but you have to go to BYU's page, Brigham Young University's page. So I'll back up just a little bit and show you. I'll just do it with you because people always say, how did you get to that page? So when you go to LinkedIn.com, we'll just go home here. You're going to do a search for Brigham Young University, and it's that page right there. And then click on See Alumni. And then you'll be able to do this search by civil. And then when you find that person at Horrocks, whoops, did I spell it wrong? Who knows how to spell Horrocks?
Horrocks.
that not how I spelled it? Oh, just don't know why they're not showing up here. That's weird. Okay, I'm going to go back this way. Okay, so I went over here and I went to civil engineering majors, and then I just deleted that search criteria, and you got whoop, I did the wrong thing. Go over here, civil engineering, and delete my search criteria, and then you've got the Worlex engineer that'll pull up here. And so I click on that and I'll find somebody. And then when I find somebody and I'm like, okay, the best contact that it looks like I can find is Wayne Horlocker. You got a couple of options here. I don't know Wayne. The second degree connection means that I know somebody that he knows. And so I've got a couple of options. I can see who we have in common, my mutual connections, and I can have one of my mutual connections introduce me to him. Or I can just send him an invitation to connect. I can click on connect and add a little note here. Send an invitation to connect. But my favorite way, a lot of our civil engineers are not checking LinkedIn regularly. And so you might send an invitation to connect and not ever get a response, or like 6 months from now get a response. And so my favorite thing to do is to go to our third resource, and that's our alumni directory. So LinkedIn is a great stalking tool, but it's not the best way to get a date. So you find the person that you want to connect with at this company or this firm, and then you go to our alumni directory and you get their email address and you just shoot them an email. Does that sound easier? Does that sound better? So, so you come over to, and actually I'm not going to take time to do this because of time, but I do want you to know where it is. alumni.byu.edu.
Monty, just for clarity, you would still send a connection request to
Sure, because it's good to be connected with these people, but just don't expect that they're all going to respond quickly to their LinkedIn requests. They're more likely to respond to an email. So go ahead and connect with them. They'll connect with you. But then come here to this page, and remember you have to scroll down, alumni.byu.edu, and it's alumni directory that you're going to click on. And you can search for them by first and last name and get their email address and shoot them an email. Yep. February 8th in the will. Okay, any questions about LinkedIn or our alumni directory? Okay, the last resource that I'm going to show you is BYU Bridge. How many of you are familiar with BYU Bridge? Okay.
How many are not?
Okay, more are not than are. Okay, this is BYU's job board. So when a civil engineering company sends us a job posting, we will post it on BYU Bridge. And so it's bridge.byu.edu, and it looks like this. Over here on the left, you can search for jobs, but it's going to be a small job board. It's not your big job board because it's just BYU's job board. It's not everything that's out there, but it's the low-hanging fruit. I mean, if they took time to post a job at BYU, then they're looking for a BYU person most likely, so your chance of getting an interview is better.
Do you get job postings from Blake?
So I usually send these to her as well. So sometimes they're duplicate, but this is just a database of all the jobs that we get, and then she'll send them out weekly, I think, on Fridays. Is that when she sends it out? And so we just want to make sure that you're aware of it, because a lot of you are not on the bridge. But there's more than one reason to be on the bridge, more than just the job board. The job board is only one thing. employment opportunities can find you as well. So you can come over here to Documents, and you can upload your resume. And this is one of the assignments that I would give you if I was in charge, which I'm not, and I'm not going to grade you on this, but I would have you upload your resume. What we found is that employers will come in and we can give them access to search resumes by keyword. And they can invite you to come bowling with them, or to come to their information session, or to interview with them, or to apply for a position. And we found that a lot of people have had opportunities come to them from employers that they weren't even aware of. And so I would challenge you to upload a resume, just to put yourself out in that pool, just in case an opportunity might come to you.
Can I interject something? The gentleman right there, so you see opportunities to, well, that was Kim Glade, she's the symbol. Okay.
Kim Glade
Okay,
sends
so,
those out.
I will say this, any opportunity you have to find job opportunities, use it. Whether it's a connection with somebody within the department, whether it's that uncle of yours or whatever. One thing about BYU Bridge, and for the last several years, it was my job to basically vet and screen employers that are signing up for a BYU Bridge account so they can post jobs. And I would say probably on average, we get 7 or 8 employers every day, on average, throughout the course of the year. It spikes in the fall, obviously. You know, we get 15 to 20 a day wanting to be able to post jobs at BYU. But even through the summer, we'll get 3 or 4 per day. So there are employers that are constantly signing up for a BYU Bridge account so they can post jobs. So I think we have over 8,000.
9,000 now, yeah.
Yeah. We kind of go through and we purge out the ones that aren't posting, over a certain amount of time. But there are employers from all over the country and throughout the world that have BYU Bridge accounts. So I highly recommend getting a BYU Bridge account. But take advantage of your other opportunities as well.
So don't spend all of your time on BYU Bridge. Do something efficiently. Save your search. So if you look right here, I saved 3 job searches. I've got a chemical engineering intern search, I've got my civil engineering search, and I've got a mechanical engineering intern search. And I've set it up to send me updates weekly. So anything that fits that search criteria, I get a weekly update, a weekly email of just everything that's been posted. So you don't have to go in here and search this all the time. Just set it up, do a saved search, do an advanced search, and then come over here and click on Save This Search. And then you can set it up to email you weekly or monthly or whatever you want. And you can always modify that search or delete it. I'm only going to show you a couple of things. The next thing was to upload your resume under Documents. And then under Events, you'll be able to see the same thing that you saw on our website, all of the events that are coming up, but you can also see the employers that are coming to the STEM Fair. You can also see that on our STEM Fair app, which is Career Fair Plus. So if you want to see who's coming to the fair, then download the app that's called Career Fair Plus. Make sure that you give it access to your location, and then it'll let you search for universities to use that app in this area. BYU will pop up first.
Question. How do you see it without the app? How do you see the companies that will show up without the app?
Without the app?
Yes.
Here on BYU Bridge. Yep. So on BYU Bridge, you would come to events, and you would go to career fairs, and you would click on the STEM Fair, and then you'd be able to see the companies that are coming. So you got the BYU STEM Fair right there.
If I could just interject something real quick. The app is awesome. It was actually built by engineers that were looking to hire college students, and they were at a career fair. Well, they developed this app, and then they quit whatever they were doing, and they built this app. So that was built by engineers that wanted to hire engineers. So it's really effective. When you download it, you not only see who's coming, not just their names, but it's got a summary of what they are, of what the company does. So you can do your homework That's the one thing. Don't ever go to a company at the career fair and say, what do you guys do? Don't ever do that. With the app, at least you can fake it pretty good, because you just read about it 3 minutes earlier. But you can highlight your favorites. There's an app on that, on the app as well. So if you highlight your favorites, it'll put a star in the booth locations where the employers are that you want to see. That won't be populated until just right before the fair.
So make sure you download the app. The most valuable thing for you might not be the job board on BYU Bridge. The most valuable thing might be the employer directory. So under employer directory, you can search for employers, and I just did a search for Clorox. And over here, you've got our recruiting contacts. And as long as they've made their email viewable to students, then you can send an email to Brenda or Ashley, and those are the people that are posting jobs or coming to the career fairs. These are great contacts. So when you go to the fair, make sure that you're making note of their name, the name of that contact. Even if you're a freshman this year, if you're keeping track of these people, because these are people you can follow up with later, it's not likely that they're going to remember you from the fair, because they're talking to hundreds of people, right? So it's much more likely that you'll have success by following up after the fair, and they're not passing out business cards. And most people don't do this. So remember that you can use this for a networking tool. Now be very professional, represent yourself and BYU well, but don't hesitate to do this. Most students are uncomfortable doing this. Don't hesitate to reach out to these people.
Real quick, has everyone had a chance to sign in? Yeah.
Great. And then over here, I starred this, meaning I mark this employer as a favorite, and so I can search employers by favorites as well. So when you come across an employer that you like, then you might just star them, and then you can mark them as a favorite, and come over here and click on favorite employers, and just look at your favorite employers. The last thing I'm going to show you, two comments.
I like the Sniper app that you can search companies coming by major. Is there a way to do that with BYU Bridge?
Yes. Yep. So on the Career Fair app, you can search by major. It's called Filter. So you click on Filter, and then search by major, and you'll get all the civil engineering employers plus the employers that mark civil engineering, because they're open to a broader range. So you will get a few that are not civil engineering as well. You can do that here as well under the employer directory search. You can search by major, or by, so you come here to more filters, and you'll have several options to be able to do different kinds of searches of employers.
I just wanted to comment when you said that like people feel uncomfortable reaching out. Yesterday I talked with a guy at Uber, and he said people are reaching out to me all the time on LinkedIn asking for advice, and it's normal. Like it's not uncomfortable for him, or it's not rude for us to be reaching out. Yeah. It doesn't burn any bridges. It's not damaging.
Yep.
There's really not a reason to feel
Thank you for that testimonial. Absolutely, that's what we hear. Worst case scenario, they're too busy and they don't respond, but you haven't burnt any bridges. Yep.
That's why they have an account. If they didn't want to be contacted, they probably wouldn't have it.
Yep. But even on LinkedIn, the advice that we were at Adobe the other day, and talking to an engineering manager at Adobe, and he said, if you want to work for us, don't just apply. He says, you've got to look up the person at Adobe that you want to work for and reach out to them. And I'm not hard to find on LinkedIn. But he said, nobody ever reaches out to me on LinkedIn. And if they reach out to me on LinkedIn, they have a much better chance of interning with me, is what he said. So that's a really great comment. The last thing I'm going to show you on BYU Bridge is this Resources tab. Under Resources, you'll see mock interviews. If you have an interview coming up, you can do a mock interview on the computer. There's somebody that's asking questions, and as long as you have a video cam, you can record yourself answering their questions, and then you can watch yourself and critique yourself, and you'll be amazed. Most of the interviewing mistakes that people make are easy to correct, but you just don't know that you're doing it. And if you've never watched yourself answer questions, then you won't be able to critique yourself and fix those things. And so if you have an interview coming up, get the jitters out by doing a quick mock interview on BYU Bridge. 25% of our students, when we surveyed them a little while ago, said that they did an interview through virtual means. So there's a 25% chance that you'll end up interviewing to a computer. When you talk to a computer instead of a live person, most of the time you look very bland and dull and not interesting. And so it's very insightful to watch yourself and just say, oh, I was talking too fast, or oh, I have no expression, or oh, I didn't describe that very well. Very easy to correct.
And I think that 25% is only going to go up. I know several employers that are moving that way, cutting costs, increasing efficiency. So it's a growing trend. So great advice.
You can also come in for a live mock interview if you call BYU Career Services, and we would do a live one for you as well. So, any questions about BYU Bridge? I went through it really quickly, but I want to make sure you're aware of that resource. Any questions about that one? Okay, we're going to wrap up then here. Let me go back to my presentation. Okay, so here's what I would challenge you to do, just in summary. I would challenge you to upload your resume on BYU Bridge. Complete a mock interview, just be familiar with that. Download the app Career Fair Plus. Invite me to connect on LinkedIn and Tony. If you tell us, when you send an invitation, if you look us up and send us an invitation to connect, and you put a little note that our presentation was life-changing, then we'll accept your invitation to connect. You don't have to say that it was life-changing, but it makes us feel good. Same thing with other people that you run into. Send a little note just saying, hey, I'd love to connect with you. It was nice meeting you at the career fair or whatever. And people will connect. It's a great way to follow up. And then you build your network. So, I'm just going to go through a couple of quick final things. Over in the Wilk, across from the terrace, is a brand new office called the Career Studio. Has anybody seen it over there? Career Studio? You can walk in 8 to 5 and they will critique your resume. Now, why do you want your resume critiqued? They'll also answer other quick career questions. So they're generalists. They're not engineering experts, but they're generalists. Anytime you update your resume, have somebody look at it. It doesn't have to be them, but have somebody look at it. How many of you would send a resume out with an error on it, a typo? Nobody? Actually, 20%, 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 resumes have errors on them or typos. I had an error on my resume. I pulled up my resume a few months ago that I had used like forever ago, and I found a typo in it. And I thought, wow, that's ridiculous. I'm a career person, and I had a typo in mine. So have somebody look at it every time. This is a great place to go. But you can also get help on your LinkedIn profile, any of these things. I just thought that I'd show you 3 of my favorite typos that we found on resumes. Received a plate for Salesperson of the Year. Reason for leaving last job? Maturity. And my very favorite, instrumental in ruining the entire operation for So spell check's not going to catch those. Have somebody look at it. Make sure that you're aware of the fair and that you're preparing for the fair. Has anybody been to a STEM fair already? How many of you have been to a STEM fair?